I'm Em Sauter, better known as Pints and Panels.
And I'm Don Tess, better known as the Dawn of Beer.
Welcome to the 20th episode of the All About Beer podcast. Every 2 weeks, we talk with leading experts and take a deep dive into one topic in beer. Visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And if you're feeling generous or friendly or whatever, visit patreon.com/allaboutbeer to support this show and others. This week on the show, we're going to be talking where tradition meets modern when it comes to the world of Pilsner. So, Don, I know you got one. What's your favorite version of Pilsner?
I don't have one, Em.
Well, come on.
One of the things I love about beer generally is I love when I have like a classic Pilsner. It's so delicious. It's classic for a reason,
Sure.
like Pilsner or Kel or whatever. And then, just when you think you've had perfection, you have like an Italian Pilsner, and it's perfect in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love I love it all. So sorry.
No.
But I assume because you asked me that, you must have an answer.
I do. I love Italian Pilsners, and I'm really excited to speak to one of our guests today about that style because it's refreshing, it's traditional, and they make a really good one. So I'm very, very excited to talk about it. Every time there's an Italian Pilsner on the menu, I'm like,
That's what you're going for.
That's what I'm going for. Just because they're just so like, it's everything a German Pilsner is, but then like just a little drier, a little hoppier, I love them. So yeah, it's great. They're great. I could go for one right now, actually. So anyway, we'll introduce our guests and get into a conversation. But first, if you'd like to help support the All About Beer podcast, reach out to podcast@allaboutbeer.com.
All About Beer is back, and we're asking for your support to help provide the independent beer media this rich and colorful industry deserves. Visit our website, allaboutbeer.com, where we're frequently posting new content. And please consider throwing us a few bucks at patreon.com/allaboutbeer. We have low-cost memberships for individuals and small and large companies alike. Every dollar goes to help produce new articles and podcasts.
Estrella Galicia is an independent family-owned brewery in northwest Spain, founded in 1906. Estrella Galicia Cerveza Especial is a world-class lager brewed using the finest Spanish malts, locally cultivated Galician hops, and the best brewing practices made out of the state-of-the-art facility in A Coruna. Recognized around the world for quality and exceptional character, Estrella Galicia is a beer like no other. To learn more about Estrella Galicia, follow them at Estrella Galicia USA on Instagram.
Looking for an easy hop sourcing experience? Yakima Valley Hops offers the finest quality hops from right here in our valley and premium growing regions around the world. Get the hops you need when you need them with ultra-fast shipping and awesome customer service. With a full line of liquid hop products and all your favorite varieties, no contracts are needed to brew with the best. Shop now at yakimavalleyhops.com. That's YAKIMA valleyhops.com.
Luc Lafontaine's brewing career spans 30 years across multiple continents, anchored by a decade-long stint at Dudeciel Brewery in Montreal, before venturing on his own to open Ushitora Brewery in Tochigi, Japan, back in 2014. After years of travel and collaboration with some of the industry's most celebrated brewers, Lafontaine moved back to Toronto, Canada to found Godspeed Brewery in 2017. Today, his inspiration-first approach to brewing has refocused his attention on Czech brewing tradition, where, in partnership and consultation with the Czech government, he's looking to break new ground for lager brewing in Canada. Welcome to the show, Luc.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, your brewery is Godspeed, right?
Yeah.
Making sure. Sorry, I'm all again. That's fun. I was told by Don, you guys just started doing pitch-lined foeders or barrels for lagering. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
So can you tell us a little bit about that and like what is pitch lining? Like how did it, that's pretty traditional. How are you doing like modern spins on it? Anything like that? Because it's pretty old school, but it's really cool to see breweries bringing it back.
Yeah, I mean, well, the nice thing about the story of the pitch line at Godspeed is in 2021, in October of 2021, I was invited by Pilsner Urquell to join them for 3 weeks time.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they invite me to actually build some barrels, some traditional 40 hectoliter barrels. For me, first time they do that in history. Seems like I was the chosen one. So
Wow, that's very
yeah,
cool.
I've been working on this project for over 4 years, and obviously COVID came and a bit of delays and stuff. But yeah, so the barrels are made by the coopers at Pilsner Kel, which is pretty amazing. And that pitch that we can talk about, it's that kind of resin, that secret recipe that they wouldn't even want to tell me even after spending 3 weeks with them.
Oh,
It's also the pitch from Pilsner Kel that they've been using for 180 years or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I mean, where it started. So I got the barrels in 2000. No, I got the barrels last year in October. So 1 year after after they were built, so they were pitched at Pilsner Kel. They kept it in the cellars for a little while, repitched them, send them by boat, and I got them at Godspeed. And I was just crossing my fingers that everything would work properly. Because the coopers there for 3 weeks, they were always telling me, "You don't know what you're getting into. You don't know what you're getting into." So, and I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna make it work. And so yeah, actually, I'm making it work now. Yeah.
What are you putting in the barrels? Are you doing Pilsner? Are you
So
doing
yeah. So
dark
I'm doing.
beers? Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a beer that I start making about 2 years ago. It's called Sklepnik. So Sklepnik in Czech means a cellar man. So I was doing like a stainless steel version of it, but it would the whole project was to kind of switch it to the barrels when they were gonna arrive. So yeah, so I do I want to say traditional Pilsen style lager, because I refuse to call it Pilsner. I'm I'm very purist. I say there's I think that Pilsner Kel kind of screwed up by not protecting the name Pilsner.
Mm.
Maybe some people would hate me saying this, but for me, it's really if it's not brewed in Pilsen, it's not a Pilsner. So I call it a Pilsen style lager. Um, so it all started back in the days, like in early 2010s, when I first visited Urkel. And I don't know if you've been there, but when you do the tour, you will go at the end of the tour. They bring you to the cellars, and they would make you taste the beer from the barrels. And this is where it all come from for me. That was still in my top three revelation, of beer drinking. So, and I always told myself that one day I want to do something like that. And obviously, I was not at that point. I was not thinking of having Pilsner Kel barrels, but as I'm gonna try to reproduce the style as much as I can. And I remember, if it was yesterday, just like the aromatic of the Saz hops that you get into that beer. Says, wow, this is Saz hops, and this is so amazing, and the balance of that beer is perfect. So I've been wanting to do this for over 10 years now. And yeah, so the pitch, so what happened with the pitch is still, for me, it's still a work in progress, because I only filled the barrels 4 times now, and I'm kind of still trying to figure out what that pitch, which is actually a secret recipe. But it's basically a conifer, like a conifer tree resins with some beeswax and some paraffin, and other stuff I don't know, and I don't know the amount of the percentage of the blend. But what they do is they used to will boil that resin, and will envelope the whole inside of the barrel with it. So there's a few reasons why they would do that. It's first of all for sanitation, second of all to avoid contamination, and third of all probably to add an extra seal, the barrel to be sealed, adding more sealant to it, because these barrels also will sorry, it's my daughter that you're in the background there. Yeah, so that those barrels is one of the only barrels that are made to actually carbonate beer, so they can handle enough pressure to carbonate the beer. Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. It's pretty unique of these these barrels. Very long answer. I'm sorry. I'm just trying
No. No, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, let's rewind back in December of 2022 when I first filled them. It's like, okay, when is this all gonna work? And so finally it worked. Barrel leaked a little bit, but everything got together, leaving the beers for about 6 to 7 weeks, 5 to 7 weeks in the barrel, and then packaging. It's I don't know if you have more questions, or if not, I'm just gonna.
I have about 100 questions.
I was gonna say,
okay,
Don's got a ton of questions. He always does.
Yeah, please.
Well, I wanted to know. So first of all, with that first beer, 5 to 7 weeks. So it's and you said it can the barrels can withstand pressure. So you're naturally carbonating in the barrel, correct?
Yeah. Well, not quite yet. Like the people at the Coopers and the brewers at Pilsner Kel, they say, you go gradually, because obviously the more I'm going to pitch the barrel, the more they're going to be sealed, the more they're going to also handle the pressure. So I'm just going gradually now. So I'm still I still start fermentation in stainless steel, then we'll move it at the end and just bung it. But carbonation is almost already it's already in. Basically, I'm at about 2.6 volume and transferring it, but gradually what I'm going to do is carbonate in the barrel
and do primary fermentation in the barrel as well. Is that the ultimate goal?
Well, I'm gonna start in the stainless, because at Urkel what they do is they would start it in the open wood fermenters, and then basically transferring it to the barrel at about the same timing that when you're gonna spund, when you're gonna cap the beer for natural carbonation. So that's the whole goal. Unfortunately, I don't have open wood fermenters. I wish I had, but
you don't have open wood fermenters
yet. But I like stainless also. So
easier to clean. So you mentioned that you're still kind of experimenting. Like, what? I assume that a beer designed to spend its entire life in stainless is different than a beer you're wanting to put in the barrel. So explain what those differences are and what your goal is flavor wise, from the consumer perspective. What should I look for in your barrel beers versus your stainless beers?
Okay, it's very interesting because the stainless version of my Sklepnik tastes a lot more like the cellar beer at Urkel, because I brought some cans and we did side by side with the brewmaster and stuff, and they were shocked how close it was. And this is my stainless version, and now the wood version tastes more like the original Urkel, like the stainless Urkel. Yeah, so go figure. I don't know what's going on. It's very, very shocking. So the So the stainless version, you have a very bright size aromatic. It's I mean, it's beautiful. And the barrel, you get like a deeper kind of malt profile, a little bit like like Urquell. And the bitterness, though, the only difference, the bitterness is a little sharper, and we're trying to figure it out if the pitch brings that extra sharpness or not. I'm still not sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to probably drop the IBUs a little bit on the next batch, and I kind of like trial and error and see. But but you feel like there's an extra kind of I don't know if it's bitterness or something that comes from the pitch of the resin, but it's still a mystery. The guys at Urquell did not tell me much about it. They kept that pretty up to themselves. So it's something that I'm trying to figure out. But right now I feel the barrel tastes more like the original Urquell, with an extra like a bitterness bite, and the stainless tastes more like the cellar Pilsner.
That's fascinating.
Yeah,
nobody
weird,
knows. Yeah, nobody understands the magic of beer, right? Like that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I mean, and I mean, it's 40 hec barrel, right? There's still kind of a lot of surface compared to, if I don't know if somebody wants to make it a smaller barrel and stuff. I don't know if this as a makes a difference to I don't know. Well, who knows yet?
Is your ultimate goal to make beer that is just like Pilsner Urquell, or are you trying to make a Godspeed beer?
I'd say both. I mean, yeah, people always say that I have my own, feel like I have my own personal touch in everything I do, but I have so much respect in the traditions and the traditional way of making those historical beers. So I'm basically, probably I'm doing it my way, because the way that I approach the hopping in my Sklepnik is definitely probably not how Urquell is approaching it. So I'm trying to mimic the taste, but with my own techniques, I guess.
I see.
Yeah.
What other traditional methods are you using? I like that this is a podcast about modern lager, but you are not doing that. So what other traditional lager methods are you using in your brew house, if any?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm kind of strict with that. I always joke, like, if I make a German beer, so the only thing that's not German in that beer is the brewer and the water. So it's the same thing for my Czech, all my Czech lagers. So I source my raw materials in Czech Republic. So I got like a 100% floor malted Pilsner malt, and I do my selection, my size selection with Bohemia hop, and David Carrier that brings the hops into Canada. So it starts with that, right? Ingredients, because that's probably the most important of it all. Sourcing good ingredients, and then I do the traditional, like, decoction mashing, and I don't do any water adjustment. Toronto water is it's not as soft as definitely not as soft as Pilsen, but relatively a good water to brew with. But I don't add any salt addition. I just let it be, and yeah, it's 100% Saaz hops. But maybe the way that I approach the hopping is a little different than the usual, like 90, 60 or 15 minutes hops addition that a normal Czech lager would do. And then fermentation, right? I do about 10 Celsius, and then natural carbonation, which the Czech all do, and that's what I do. Put a lot of love into it too.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Love is the magic ingredient in great beer, I would argue.
Yeah, the 50 degrees, yeah, love and caring, that's I take care of my beers every single day, even on the weekend. Even if I'm busy with my family, I'll take half an hour and do the routine and taste, and I think at the end of the day makes a difference.
Yeah.
Are you pouring the Czech way in your tasting room? Do you have a Luker side pull and all okay.
Oh yeah, we have 7 of them. Yeah, we do the we do the traditional way, and we even, for me it's very important until the beer is in the customer's hand, right? So the proper glassware and the proper temperature of the glassware too. We do that now. It's a bit of a gray zone with our province regulations. Ontario is so strict with I think is the strictest place in the world for the amount of chlorine that we need in our in our glass washer, like in the rinser. It's pretty crazy, but we're kind of surfing on a gray zone there, where we actually cool the glassware also to the temperature of the beer. So when it's served, it's just served perfectly, and no thermal shock anywhere and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right?
It totally does. I'm a whiskey guy, and even if you like ice in your whiskey, I would argue that dropping an ice cube in your whiskey causes thermal shock, and it just like if you were to do a polar bear plunge as a human, you jump into a ice cold water, you will close up. And
exactly.
So yeah, I agree. I believe in thermal shock in beverages and all that. So
yeah, I studied kinesiology in university, and people say, yeah, what's the relation with beer and the human body? I said, there's a lot. There's a lot. Like, yeah, thermal shock is one. It's like a temperature changes, another one. pH changes, another one. Just like start to fool around with the human body like that. We struggle, and I feel the same way for beer. So I take that approach into beer a lot.
Right. That's awesome. I wanted to ask, because the barrels are pitch lined.
Yep.
Does the beer ever actually have direct contact with the oak itself? And does the oak actually contribute any flavor, or is it just the pitch? Not
supposed to, but the barrel's been pitched only 2 times now, and they told me at Urkel, don't be shocked if there's a bit of leak, and because it's not going to be perfect from day one, and the more you pitch it, then the more you're going to have like a perfect seal in the barrel. So does it touch the wood at all? I'm not sure, but if it does a little bit, not a lot, and I don't think it really impacts on the flavor. Not in my barrels. I don't think so. Right. I hope not, because it's not supposed to be touching the wood.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were, it's 40 hectoliters.
Yeah.
Which is 4,000 liters.
Yeah.
So I would refer to that more as a foeder, but you're calling them as a barrel. Is there a difference, or is it just are they synonyms?
Well, I put it's on its side, right? So usually a foeder, I mean, there's different kind of foeder. I'm not a specialist, so I don't know if I what I'm gonna say it makes sense or not, but yeah, for me, it's just like it's actual barrels. It's like
Okay.
giant barrels. Been, because you can make like like a little 20-liter barrel like this, or 4,000, and it's the same principle and the same kind of way of doing it. Some fooders that I saw, they're kind of different. They're flip on the other side, and so I don't know, honestly, but I call it a
Okay.
barrel, and people ask me all the time. It's funny because people ask me, "Hey, you brew Czech lagers and you don't have you don't have the horizontal tank." So I say, "Well, I do have my horizontal tanks. It's my barrels."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and one interesting story about the 40 hectoliters, because they gave me the option of making smaller ones if I wanted barrels, and I say no, I want the traditional ones, and which is 40 hex, and they did not tell me why it was 40x, and they'll says we're gonna let you figure it out why it's 40x. So when
Oh,
so when I'm at Herkel, we're in the cellar doing the maintenance, because in October they invited me at the same time that they do the maintenance of all the other barrels that they have in the basement. So they want to teach me how to pitch the barrels and properly maintenance them. So we moving the barrels in those, in those corridors. There's actually 9 kilometers of corridors under the city of Pilsen, where Pilsner Urquell used to lager their barrels. Now they're using just a small part of it, but when you move the barrels into those small corridors, you cannot have a 45 hec barrels. They build the maximum
oh,
size barrels that they could to move, to roll into those corridors in the cellar. And I was amazed. Like, it's all right. So a little story there. So that's
yeah.
why the traditional barrels are 40 hex.
I see. I love it.
Hmm.
Yeah. They just want to maximize like everything. So
Right.
yeah. So
So yeah, even though we like to think of these old breweries as being all traditional, but they were economic as well. They were making
yeah.
business decisions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
um, you and I just wanted to make sure I just didn't misunderstand this. You're the
Mhm.
only brewery other than Urquell.
Yeah.
You're the only brewery that has done this, that Urquell has invited to, and
Yep.
in the
Yeah.
world, it's you and them.
In the world. Yeah. Amazing, huh?
That
How
is absolutely amazing.
I think I'm at the peak of my career, and from now what else can I do? I think it's just going down from now. But
Well,
yeah, but like brand new barrels, yes, I think they let go a few barrels. I think like a Dry Fontaine as a few, I think, of Urquell, but they were the used one, the old ones, I think. But to actually uh make new barrels, I'm definitely the first one. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy. I told them, it's like, you don't know what, they're telling me you don't know what you're getting into. I say, well, you don't know what you're getting into, because once I release those, you're gonna start having phone calls, I think,
Oh.
uh, from other breweries, and they say, you know what, and this is a bit my little kind of selfish side, but they say, well, we don't have enough wood to make other people, and I say, well, that's perfect.
Just for
'Cause
you. Yeah.
yeah, because they take the wood, and they're very traditional, right? They take the wood in the same forest. It's Czech oak. They didn't tell me which forest, but they say they take the wood from the same forest, and before making the barrels they have to dry the wood for 8 years. It's not that simple. You cannot just make a barrel just like that. And traditionally, I think they make one or two every year for themselves. They do the rotation in the cellars. I think they have about 25 that they're using now, and and they're pretty rough on their barrels, right? They just like they slam them everywhere. So I don't know what's the life expectancy of the barrel, but seems like they're making one or two every year to change like the oldest one, in the cellar. And and but in 2021 they made 4.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
It's very cool.
yeah.
Donna,
That's
do you have any other questions? I'm sure you do.
I'm going to restrain myself.
We'll have to have you back, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I don't know if we didn't really talk about modern lagers, but I don't know if
That's
you have
okay.
I don't
I
know if you
think-
have other questions about that or not.
I think we'll have you on another time to talk about that, because I liked the fact that you really focus on the traditional aspect of it. So the fact that this podcast is more the intersection of traditional and modern versus
Yes.
fully a modern. And I like that aspect as well. So, I mean, and we can always talk about modern Pilsners or lagers or Czech lagers or German lagers again in the future.
Yeah, sure.
It's
I'd be happy to be back.
wonderful, wonderful. So where can people find info about yourself and your brewery on social media, website, anything you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, our website, godspeedbrewery.com. Our Instagram, I think it's Godspeed Beer, at Godspeed Beer. Twitter, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people's responses nowadays.
And Facebook, obviously, like, you know, you can just sign in like the Godspeed Brewery Facebook. We're not really we don't do a lot of social media, but we you know, we might be posting like once a week or something. And we did a great post actually about the pitch line barrels when I released the beer. It's actually a reel that from videos that I took, because I took like hundreds of videos and thousands of pictures in my 3 weeks there. I wanted to document everything, so we're gonna have some more reels that we're gonna put about it, and we're hoping. I'm trying to have the Pilsner Kale crew to come in at Godspeed in the end of summer, fall. So we're gonna do a proper release of the beer, and we're gonna
Awesome.
we're gonna bless the barrels. Like a Czech priest will come and bless the barrels. We're gonna do like the old traditional way. And yeah, I'm trying to have Mr. Berka, Vaclav Berka in, and maybe the Master Cooper in, and so and hoping to maybe brew a little beer with them too. So let's see.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by, and I definitely want to come and try some of these beers. They sound amazing.
Please do. And by the time you're in, it's probably going to be even better, because you know I want to try and make them better every day. So
Wonderful. Well, thanks for stopping by, Luke. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you
Cheers.
so much. Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
Estrella Galicia is an independent, family-owned brewery in northwest Spain, founded in 1906. Estrella Galicia Cerveza Especial is a world-class lager brewed using the finest Spanish malts, locally cultivated Galician hops, and the best brewing practices made out of the state-of-the-art facility in A Coruna. Recognized around the world for quality and exceptional character, Estrella Galicia is a beer like no other. To learn more about Estrella Galicia, follow them at Estrella Galicia USA on Instagram.
All About Beer is back, and we're asking for your support to help provide the independent beer media this rich and colorful industry deserves. Visit our website, allaboutbeer.com, where we're frequently posting new content. And please consider throwing us a few bucks at patreon.com/allaboutbeer. We have low-cost memberships for individuals and small and large companies alike. Every dollar goes to help produce new articles and podcasts.
Looking for an easy hop sourcing experience? Yakima Valley Hops offers the finest quality hops from right here in our valley and premium growing regions around the world. Get the hops you need when you need them, with ultra-fast shipping and awesome customer service. With a full line of liquid hop products and all your favorite varieties, no contracts are needed to brew with the best. Shop now at yakimavalleyhops.com. That's YAKIMA valleyhops.com.
Tim Adams is the founder and owner of Maine-based Oxbow Brewing Company. Founded in 2011, Oxbow specializes in producing farmhouse ales and lagers, and has retail locations in Newcastle, Portland, and Oxford. Adams is a passionate skier and fly fisherman, and a Yeti brand ambassador. Tim enjoys work and adventure alongside his wife Birch and dog Koji. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course, it's our pleasure. So I want to start with, for our listeners, what the hell is an Italian Pilsner, and how is it not like an IPL or a different kind of Pilsner? What makes Italian Pilsner Italian Pilsner?
An Italian Pils is a very specific thing, and the hop profile is the most important thing about it. It needs to have a traditional European or noble hop character. It can't be New World style, Northwest, Australian, fruity, tooty, whatever. It's got to be classic hops, but elevated aroma from a dry hopping process. That's the real biggest difference between an Italian style Pils and say German style Pils, is that it is dry hopped.
And then what is like malt hop? Like, what are you like? You're using noble hops? Are you doing like what kind of dry hopping are you doing? Is it aggressive?
No, it's not too aggressive. It's
Okay.
fairly delicate dry hop, but it does come through. The base beer is a Pils, so there's a lot of room for the hops to shine there. The malt plays a supporting role. It's not as malt forward as say a Czech pale lager would be. But yeah, just a delicate, beautiful, but very decidedly hop forward Pils.
And how did you guys start? Because Oxbow, it was one of the first places, or the first place actually, to start brewing Italian Pilsners in America. Like, how did that start? What was your first experience with Italian Pilsner, and why did you want to brew it?
My first experience with Italian Pils, like a lot of American beer drinkers and brewers, was Tipo, was the original. And I had that in the States, a couple different spots, and I knew that beer and loved that beer, and appreciated what was unique about it. And then the real aha moment for me, though, is when I went to Italy for the first time and try. The first beer I had was a Tipo, as fresh as could be. It was absolutely incredible. And then I started trying the other Pils that I could find. I knew about Birrificio del Ducato's Via Emilia Pils, but I had yet to have that. So I tried that one, and it was absolutely incredible. And then was able to, kept trying the Pils over there, and they were all cut from the same cloth. They all had this elevated hop aroma and flavor, and just kind of a softness and a real drinkability to them. And it was very apparent that it was its own unique beer style. And so we wanted to, we really hadn't been brewing lagers yet. We started as a strictly farmhouse brewery, doing all Belgian style farmhouse ales and, barrel aged and stainless aged mixed culture versions of those same beers. But that was for the first 5 years of Oxbow. That's all we did. And then we really wanted to bring, a lager to the world. And we decided that an Italian style Pils was going to be the one. And that was Lupolo, our first Pils and our flagship Pils.
Wow, so Lupolo was your first Pilsner or your first lager?
Yep, we did a couple of sort of tester versions of that. We have like we call our freestyle series of beers, and we did a couple of freestyles as we were kind of dialing it in, but they were Italian style Pils, or on our quest to make Lupolo, which was that's our first commercially available lager.
Such a banger right out of the gate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And did you, Tim, coin the phrase Italian Pilsner? Because I assume, like Tipo Pils, they don't call it Italian Pilsner themselves. I think they just call it a Pilsner. And same with the Del Ducato Via Emilia. I think they just call it Pilsner. They don't call it Italian Pilsner. Or am I wrong there?
I never noticed anybody in Italy referring to their Pils as Italian style. They were just Italian brewers, and this is their Pils. And the story begins with Agostino and with Birrificio Italiano and his Tipo Pils, which the name of that beer, Tipo, means type. He released this, and he's like, well, this is not the Pils that everybody's used to, but this is a type of Pils. This is Tipo Pils. And then that, he was really the grandpa of the scene over there. And like people, all the brewers that were, or maybe they weren't even brewers yet, but the beer drinkers and brewers to be that were drinking his Pils, said this is what Pils, could be like and should be like. And so the rest of the brewers in Italy, as they, more breweries came out, and many of them had a Pils, they dry hopped it with noble hops, and very much inspired by that Tipo. And that's kind of how it became this ubiquitous beer style over there.
And you were talking about how, it's European or noble hops. Is it specifically the more classic, Hallertauer and Hersbrucker, that and Saaz and that type of thing? Or like, what are your thoughts of people using Huelmelin or a more modern German hop like a Huelmelin or a Mandarina? Is that okay, or is that now outside of the lines for an Italian Pilsner?
That could be a very delicious beer, but it would not be an Italian style Pils.
Right. Okay, cool.
Be more of like a modern Pilsner. So like, yeah, I think that's because I think that would be a really nice dry hop Pilsner. But yeah, then you're bordering on some like, I don't even know what would you call that? Delicious.
I mean,
besides,
yeah, hoppy lager for
Yeah, hoppy
sure.
lager.
You could call
those
it Don's crappy idea Pilsner.
no, Don,
No,
stop it.
they're great. And I've had, wonderful lagers that are brewed with those hops, but they definitely have a new world flavor that makes you think more of IPAs and pale ales than it does Pilsners and lagers.
Right.
But
by the way,
yeah.
I just want to say I am trademarking Don's crappy idea
All right,
Pilsner. So
all
nobody
yours,
can
Don.
steal that. Sorry, I'm going.
No, back to Italian Pilsner. So Lupolo is one of the first. Like, how did you think your creation as like an American brewer had an effect on other Italian Pilsners brewed throughout America or North America, wherever? Does your beer differ slightly than Tipo Pilsner, or are you just trying to, keep it going? And then how do you think because I love Italian Pilsners and I see a lot of breweries brew them, but I always think back to your beer and how it's kind of the gold standard for American Italian Pilsners.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And we were the first ones to produce a beer outside of Italy that was specifically emulating just the Italian style pills. The one that came before us that's a huge one was from Firestone and Pivo.
Yes.
But that beer is of Italian, German, and Czech inspiration. And so, yeah, Lupolo is the first to be explicitly Italian, style. And since I don't believe anybody in Italy was calling theirs an Italian style pills, we're pretty confident we're the first ones to use that term. So, we did, bring those words to the States, even though we didn't bring that flavor profile, Agostino did with Tipo, but by brewing Lupolo over here, we were able to get it into the hands of a lot more people. And then very shortly after we just released Lupolo, we hosted the first Pils and Love Festival in the US, which is the US version of a festival that's been happening over in Italy that Agostino throws for quite some time, 10 or 15 years now or something like that. And it's only Pils. And we did it in Maine, had a big showing, tons and tons of Pils, and brewers from all over the place, lots of beer drinkers. And that was sort of a hot incubation moment for love and stoke for Italian style Pils amongst a lot of brewers and beer buyers and industry people were at that event. And we're able to sample a lot of, Italian Pils straight from Italy, nice and fresh, as well as a lot of other, beautiful, classic, noble hop type of lagers. And so, yeah, I think that was a big one. And then Firestone hosted it the year after, and then we hosted it the year after that. And so those festivals were definitely pretty pivotal, I think, and helping get the word out there. And excited to say that the Pils and Love Fest is coming back this year. It's going to be at Chico's in early June. I think it's the 10th, that Friday. But yeah, those were big moments. And yeah, it's exciting to see a bunch of other Italian style Pils popping up in the States, and had some really neat different versions of it. And ours was not. We weren't trying to be exactly like Tipo. We were trying to, construct a beer that checked off the same boxes and, fulfilled the same kind of vibe. And we, did that in our own way. And it's been cool to see a lot of other American breweries do a similar thing. And each one that I've had has been different and unique, and many of them have been very, very good.
You sort of kind of talked about how malt is sort of a foundation for this dry hop profile, but I always think that well, the difference between good and great beer is that even the minor things are thoughtfully constructed. So even though malt is not the point here, how much thought do you put into it in terms of is it important to do a decoction mash? Is it important to use certain European malt variety or barley variety? I know in Maine you grow grape barley. So do you use Maine barley, or any thoughts on that?
We're using all Maine grown base malts for all of our farmhouse ales, but we've stuck with German malts for Lupolo. And it's a style where, if a brewer really wanted to do a decoction in there, they could, but it's, the malt is a secondary background type of thing. So we forego the decoction, with Lupolo, because we just, aren't looking to enhance that malt character. But yeah, it's, and that wouldn't be the kind of thing that would throw it out of the style guidelines, if it was a little too malty or whatever, but it's just, it's not really the central focus, and, with Italiano, their Tipo Pils is one of their shortest run lagers. They do theirs in 4 to 5 weeks. We're in that 5 to 6 range, but still it's not, whereas, some other lagers might really truly benefit from lager maturation or longer maturation time in the tank, to round out further, smooth out, let that malt character really come through. But by releasing the Tipo and the Lupolo and other Italian style pils, a little on the quicker, fresher side, it is still, leaning more in that hop direction.
Right. Yeah, cool. Awesome.
Did Lupolo, because since it was your first real lager, did that kind of set the tone for other? I've had you guys brew a Munich Dunkel, right, or a dark lager, or am I making that up?
We do a couple of dark lagers.
Okay.
Staphouse is a beer that we brew every kind of fall, winter, and that's a smoked dark lager. And actually, there's a little touch of maple syrup to it as well. But we don't have a Dunkel. I love Dunkel.
I don't know what I tried. But did Lupolo have set the tone for your other lagers, and then once the success of that, did you guys kind of amp up your lager? I mean, lagers are cool now. It's what all the kids drink. I'm assuming as a 40-year-old woman.
Yeah, very exciting that lagers are cool now. I will say that lagers being cool has really been helpful for Oxbow, because we have a pretty tight identity, I would say, in terms of the type of stuff that we want to brew and sort of what our ethos is, and the vast majority of what's cool does not fall within that ethos of Oxbow, but lager does, and so that's really been helpful for us. So almost half the beer that we brew at this point is lager. We do definitely.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah, quite a bit. And I mean, Lupolo is a big one, but we've got a few others, and it's whether it's lager or farmhouse ale, it's just kind of, we shoot for balanced beer that's made with high quality ingredients and take our time making them. That's just kind of our approach, and that's what we do.
Do your lagers have more of a modern approach, similar, or are you going more traditional? Because I think of you as the people that brew with lobster. So you guys kind of do a more modern, I find,
which is such a funny reputation for us, that floats around and exists, but
I've had it.
that one beer, which was also the result of an Italian person, was we invited over our friend Giovanni from Ducato, and it was 2014. We'd been brewing for a few years now, been open for a few years, and we were going to brew a Goza, and I was really excited, farmhouse Goza, because he had a killer one over there, and we become friends. And I wanted to become kind of, teach me how to brew Goza his way, but combined with our way, farmhouse, whatever. but it was and so we were going to use salt in a beer, and that was a big deal because I had yet to put anything in a beer that wasn't basically Reinheitsgebot compliant at that point. We were going to use a little bit of salt. And then the night before, we were at Eventide having dinner, and we were having lobster, and he's like, let's put a lobster in the beer. I was like, oh my God, that's, definitely wild and crazy and outside of my normal comfort zone, but you're here in town, let's do it. And so we did like that one beer, and that, that beer is just the tiniest splash in the bucket of anything we've ever done, but it like stuck in people's minds.
I think it was so early, that like, now people are brewing with like money and chicken.
Right.
And so, but like back in the day, I remember learning about that beer and being like, what? One, that's crazy. Two, I want to drink it because I love lobster. But I find that Oxbow kind of straddles this. You guys do a lot of traditional stuff, but you also do modern. And like, how does Oxbow kind of ride that line? I guess was my question.
I mean, we will be, modern in terms of, always striving to create new flavors and beers that, haven't existed before, and, trying to contribute to the, collective pool of all the beers that have been, brewed and created by humans. But we are going to do it using traditional techniques and usually traditional ingredients, asterisks next to lobster, I suppose. But
lobster's
like you will never see us put any type, like something that was already produced by another food producer and then put it in our beer. Like that's an area of modern that we're not interested in and won't do, but we will shoot for some really fun, interesting herb spice combos, or, creative barrel aging, or, whatever it is. So yeah, I guess that's how we're modern, old school modern.
Old school modern.
Old school modern. That's the name. That's the title of this episode.
Okay.
I like it.
I like to give our consumer listener, something to take away and carry with them as they taste beers. So if you kind of described in broad terms what an Italian Pilsner is, but what should consumers look for in terms of the difference between a good Italian Pilsner and a great Italian Pilsner? You've obviously tasted a lot of them. So what's the difference? What should consumers
a great
seek?
Italian Pils, as soon as you have finished your first one, you will want a second one. Like immediately. It is just such a refreshing, drinkable beer style. And when it's well made, it is just such a thing of beauty. You will want one right away. If it's a little flabby and heavy on the malt or something like that, you might drink and say, "Wow, that was cool. What a nice noble hop experience." But I'll try something else. But when the Italian style Pils is really perfectly balanced in all its elements, you will definitely want to keep on drinking them.
And therefore also not super intense, right? So
no.
Yeah. Awesome.
And nor high in alcohol either. They should be right around 5%. They should, unfiltered, but just a hint of I don't even want to use the H word, but just a touch of unfiltered appearance to
it. Yes. That word is a 4-letter. It is a 4-letter word now, isn't it? Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Don, anything else?
No, that was my final question.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. Tim, so where can people learn about Oxbow? Website, social media, yourself, if you have any handles you'd like to share?
Yeah, totally. It's oxbowbeer.com, and then we've got the Instagram going. Oxbow Brewing Company is the company one, and I've got one, Oxbow Beer, that's a little more, my stuff and beer stuff and whatever thrown in the mix. But and then I really hope people that are, especially in the Northeast, can make it over to Chico's for the Pils and Love Fest in June. That's going to be a big one, and definitely the best place to learn about a whole lot of lager. And if folks are in Maine, come by one of our tap rooms. We got spots in Portland, Newcastle, and Oxford. And come try our beers, and hope everybody has a great summer.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks
Tim. For having me. Absolutely. Thank you guys. Take care.
Don, let's drink some Pilsners.
You don't have to twist my arm.
I loved the differences yet the similarities between our two guests today.
Yeah, and it's sort of what I was alluding to in the intro to this episode, where like you have Luke, who like obsesses over the tiniest details to reproduce this Czech lager, like the pitch of the barrels and the side pull tap and decoction mashing and everything. And then you have the innovation of the Italian Pilsner, and I'm just babbling. Sorry, Em.
No, it's awesome. You're good at that, but it is really cool to see how lager, how it's like innovating, yet it always stays the same.
Yeah. See, this is why you should do all the talking. You're way more articulate than I am. That was yes, agreed. 100%. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
It was really interesting to talk to both of them, because they really do, even though Tim's focus is, a more modern Pilsner, and Luke's focus is, 19th century, or, the way that Pilsner Urquell has been brewing, they really have the same goals in mind. And it's really exciting.
And I love both of them, their experimental philosophy. So here is Luke, who has all of the right ingredients. He imports his malt, has the barrels and the pitch and all that sort of stuff. And the beer tastes opposite. His barrel age tastes like the clean version, and his clean version tastes like the barrel version. and it doesn't go, well, I'm doing everything right, so nothing more for me to do. He's got to figure this out, right? I guarantee you he spends nights awake thinking about this. And then you have Tim, who's like, okay, there's this great beer called Pilsner, and I'm going to make it better, right? Because I've tasted these. And so I just love how brewers as artists, right? It's you're never finished. It's always always a process. So I love that.
It's really, really great. It's and that episode, I think that episode made me like really want a beer more than any of our episodes, which I think I say all the time, but that was just like, I can buy Lupolo at I think I'm probably going to go to the package store, the liquor store right now, and get a 4-pack, because that beer just is damn tasty. And it's always fun to see Italian Pilsners out. And I'm very, very thankful for them to bringing that style over, because it's delicious.
Yeah, I agree. And as Tim said, a great Italian Pilsner, as soon as you finish one, you should want one more.
Absolutely.
And it's just like our podcast, right, Em? Like as soon as people finish listening to one, they're like, I can't wait 2 weeks for the next episode.
Well, they're going to have to wait. But if you want to learn more about the All About Beer podcast, you can visit allaboutbeer.com, and you can follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And why not visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/allaboutbeer, to support this show and others. If you have any questions for the experts, email podcast@allaboutbeer.com. That's also the email for feedback, suggestions, or to inquire about supporting the show through advertising. Speaking of advertising, here's a short word from our sponsors.
Looking for an easy hop sourcing experience? Yakima Valley Hops offers the finest quality hops from right here in our valley and premium growing regions around the world. Get the hops you need when you need them, with ultra-fast shipping and awesome customer service. With a full line of liquid hop products and all your favorite varieties, no contracts are needed to brew with the best. Shop now at yakimavalleyhops.com. That's YAKIMA valleyhops.com.
All About Beer is back, and we're asking for your support to help provide the independent beer media this rich and colorful industry deserves. Visit our website, allaboutbeer.com, where we're frequently posting new content. And please consider throwing us a few bucks at patreon.com/allaboutbeer. We have low-cost memberships for individuals and small and large companies alike. Every dollar goes to help produce new articles and podcasts.
Estrella Galicia is an independent family-owned brewery in northwest Spain, founded in 1906. Estrella Galicia Cerveza Especial is a world-class lager brewed using the finest Spanish malts, locally cultivated Galician hops, and the best brewing practices made out of the state-of-the-art facility in A Coruna. Recognized around the world for quality and exceptional character, Estrella Galicia is a beer like no other. To learn more about Estrella Galicia, follow them at Estrella Galicia USA on Instagram.
Before we go, if you like this podcast, one easy thing you can do to help us is give us a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps other people find the show. We would also appreciate if you would let your beer-loving friends know about the show to help spread the gospel of good beer. So, Don, how can people reach out to you?
On Twitter and Instagram, I am at the Dawn of Beer. I love talking about beer, so people can feel free to drop me an email, don@thedawnofbeer.com. And I look forward to talking to people. Em, how about you?
I am at Pints and Panels across all social media, and my website is pintsandpanels.com. This show is produced by All About Beer. Visit allaboutbeer.com for articles, notes on this show and others, and to connect via the newsletter and social media. Cheers!
Cheers!